Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at ADA. This is going to be a lower time frame video. Our higher time frame video is up above, so check that out if you haven't already. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, before we jump into the lower time frame counts, what we were discussing previously was the possibility here that we could be looking for a bigger corrective structure. Now we do have the potential here that within the higher time frame we could be either looking still for a fourth wave where this move is becoming more complex, or alternatively here what we could be looking for is the potential of actually seeing this as a bigger B wave, and we could still be looking to complete this B wave. Now until we actually break back above 48.19, we need to be careful of this idea that we could be looking for this C wave down. Now the target would be this 1-to-1 here to this 1-2-3-6 most typically here, and we do have some overlap between the 1-2-3-6 and the 1-3-8-2 of the higher degrees W wave, which would also align with coming back into some of these lower levels. We have, however, hit this 1-to-1, so we need to respect that idea that we could look to see a rally. But the problem is that if we look at this move down here, this does just look like 3 waves, and what I would be looking for is a 5-wave move down. Now within this idea of a 5-wave move down here, if we are looking at either a 5th wave or a C wave within this area, we have discussed the potential here of something like this, where we'd be looking at this move as a bigger 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, effectively, what we'd be looking for here would be a 3-wave move to the downside, not crossing this 1807. And what we'd want to see is a nice clean 5-wave move. Now, it is possible that this first leg here could potentially be a diagonal pattern, in which case this could actually become our A wave. We could get a B wave up and then see this C wave down. So I'm just looking out for that possibility within this, where what we could see is something along these lines, where we would be saying that this is basically 1, 2, 3. We'd be looking for this 4th wave. Invalidation would be pushing back above this 27.99, which would be this wave 2 high here, and then what I'd be looking for is effectively another 3-wave move to the downside. Now once again, this 3-wave move to the downside, if this is going to be a diagonal pattern, cannot move past this point here of this 22 cent 84. So this would be quite an interesting zone to keep an eye on. If we do see price looking to push down, we do have this trend line which could potentially offer us support at 23.43, which would mean that we wouldn't cross this 1-to-1 level. What we'd then be expecting from this point here would be a 3-wave move to the upside, looking for this B wave, and then looking for another 5-wave move down, which would look to potentially push us towards this 1956 level if we did have to move back up towards this 0.618, which would be here at this 3156, which, you know, there's a bit of structure in this here between this 50% and this 0.618. So I'd be watching this level here if we do see a move to the upside starting to play out, until we actually take this high again here of this 37.94. We had to be careful of this potential of this move down like this. Now if we're talking about this being a B wave or a wave 4, we also need to obviously be on the lookout for something like this as a triangle, where we would be saying this is A, B, C, D, and what we'd be looking for is a 3-wave move to the upside. Now if we do look to form this as a 3-wave structure to the upside, what I want to see is a zigzag play out here. We would be looking for something like this. Now the common target area would be looking for as this E wave would be here between this 30 cents and this 32.92. This would be the most common target area. We can see we do have the trend line up here as well, which I would be looking out for an interaction with, which directly above us is sitting towards this 31.82, which would be right in the zone for something like this. So if we do see this move develop as a 3-wave structure up here, going to be on the lookout that this could still mean that we have additional legs to the downside after this completes, and then we could look for that continuation and some of those lower targets that we discussed within this potential here, which would be this 2059 to the 1603, or alternatively within the C wave here, this area here of this 1510 to this 1869. Though what we can sometimes get after a triangle is we can get either a particularly violent short move, or alternatively this move can then start to look to extend. So we'd have to monitor the subwaves if we do get that confirmation, but we don't have confirmation of that yet. We'd need to see that E wave play out first, and until we do, I'm still being mindful of a couple of other ideas here where we could still be looking for a push to the upside. Now if this is still within a B or a 4th wave, and we're looking at this potentially as a bigger A, B, and a C, looking for a flat correction, we talked about this, we came into this typical overshooting B wave area, and if this B wave is actually completed here, we could potentially look for a C wave up. Now the structure isn't great at the moment, and the way that I would be looking for this to potentially form a C wave would be as a diagonal pattern. Invalidation of this would be this 22-cent level. If we break down below that, then the probability becomes that we are following a different count here. Now, within this idea here, what we'd be saying is that this is our wave 1. We're looking at this as a wave 2, and we'd want to see another 3-wave move to the upside here, looking for this target area to not actually push past this 41 cents. Now, this would mean there wouldn't be a lot of room here because we would be expecting this wave 3 to end between this wave 1 high and this 1-to-1 level up here, and what we'd be looking for is effectively a bigger zigzag pattern to the upside, looking to form a contracting wedge shape pattern, something like this, where then we would be looking for either this move to complete as ABC, or alternatively to find support again and then look to push up if the correction is going to become a lot bigger. The thing is, if we do get a bigger corrective structure like this, the probability is that this is neither a B wave nor a wave 4, and we are looking at some other structure developing here. So we'd have to be careful of that idea if we do look at a diagonal forming. Now, within this idea of this being A and B, it is also possible here that we could still be looking for this move to push down one more time here, where we could be looking to come back down into this target box. Now, this 1382 would be the next level, down here between this 1236 and this 1382 that I'd be watching. If we do get another leg down here, potentially this could still align with this idea of a flat correction where the B is just taking a bit longer to actually play out. So we need to just be aware of that idea. And if we were looking at something like this, we need to be on the lookout for something like this, where we have a 3-wave move down here for W. This is X. We have this as A. We're looking for a B wave and then a continuation to the downside. Now, our 1-to-1 would actually be here at this 1820, which if I overlay this, we can see this aligns quite nicely with this 1382. So I would be keeping an eye on those levels. Alternatively here, we need to just be on the lookout that if we do start to push up here and we just get 3 waves, we could be still within this B wave. So if we either form this as ABC, we find support and then we push up one more time, or alternatively we form something more impulsive like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we get 3 waves down and we see another push up like this. I'm going to be looking out for this 786 to this 50% level. If we fail to break back above this 786 and actually take this X wave high, we need to be very careful here that we could still be in a structure like this where we're still looking to move to the downside. Now, our current 1-to-1, given our actual retracement that we've got here, would put us down towards a 1697, but I would be anticipating a bit more of a bounce here if we are looking at this as a B wave. Ideally, I'd like to see at least this 382 come in towards this 2832 level. This would be an interesting zone to keep an eye on if we do see price looking to come back into this area. But obviously, we need to be careful of the bullish case here, where we could start to form that bigger impulse, which we're going to go over in a second. But that is the way that we could be looking at this as still being within a B wave. Now, it is also possible that we could argue that instead of this being A, B, and C, what we could have is that this is W, X, and Y, and whether we are looking for a 3-wave move to the upside, looking for the potential of coming back up towards this 1236 to this 1-to-1 level. Now, we did get a move up here towards this 0.854, but because of the time duration, I would say that it's more likely that if this Y wave is still in play, it would be looking to actually play out, one more time to the upside here. We could argue that it's here, but the time relationship between the X wave and the Y wave isn't particularly bad, but the W and the Y wave would be a lot shorter. These do tend to be comparable, in time duration. Typically, they have equality most of the time, or at least close to it. So this is why I'm still looking for that possibility of another push up here where we could see this higher level. Now, if we are looking at this idea, we could see something along these lines play out where we could argue that this is A, and then we're looking at this as a B, and we could be looking for the C wave. So once again, we need to be very careful that if we do form either this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we find support 3, 4, 5, this could still just be something like a flat correction here, in which case, because we haven't actually taken the low, the most common target is this 1-to-1 here at this 4108. Now, if we do continue to hold these lows here, we could potentially look to see this rally for a C wave, but we need to see price actually continuing to hold these lows and looking to push up and hit some of the impulsive targets that we're going to go over in a second. But the idea here would be that we completed into this low and we're looking for this rally to the upside here, looking for this as a bigger ABC pattern, which would align with actually coming back perfectly into that 1-to-1 here of this 40.77. So this is why I'm keeping an eye on this idea that here that we could start to form this C. There is good relationships between those fib levels, so that could potentially be on the cards. Now it is also possible that if we're looking at this as A, B, and C, we could be looking for this lower target here of this 22 cents to the 17.87. Now the 1-to-1 of the Z wave here would push us down towards 21.96. And what we'd then be saying is that this move could become a bigger A, B, C pattern, and we could be looking for a rejection here below this zone of this 27.03. We have touched onto this level, and what I want to see here is that if we start to form 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the downside, watch this 22 cent level. This could be a potential area that we could look to actually see a reaction off of. If we overshoot that, I will still be looking out for that potential of actually seeing price finding support on one of these lower levels here. And the idea here would be that we are once again looking for a flat. Now if this B wave goes down deeper here, then we could be looking at an expanding flat or a running flat. We'd have to watch the internals of the move to the upside at that point and see what we actually get coming through. Within the idea here of this being a B wave, we could also argue that internally here what we have is that this is AB, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and actually what we are doing is forming a diagonal pattern. Now within this idea here, what we'd be saying is that this is potentially wave 1, this is potentially wave 2, and if we do get 3 waves to the downside which fails to push past this 22.77, we could actually see a 5-wave move develop here first, 3 waves up, and then another 5-wave move looking to actually take this wave 1 low here at this 23.67 before a small push up for a wave 4 and another 3-wave move for a wave 5, all looking to push us down into this 22.98 to this 21.64. If we do see something along these lines play out, what we would then be looking for is this move to find support here and then look to rally to the upside. If we fail to do so, then we could actually be looking at a more impulsive structure here. So we just need to be on the lookout that if we do get this as 1, 2, this all becomes 3. We could get another 4th and a 5th. And then next thing, we've got a bigger impulse to the downside. So we need to just be very careful that if we do complete as a diagonal here, if we can't break back above this 28.02, there could be another leg down. So we need to just obviously be on the lookout for that. Now we're going to go over some of the bullish ideas here, where we were looking for a breakout in the previous video. Now what we were saying is that we could potentially have this as 1, 2, and then we're looking for this as possible 3rd wave because we've crossed this 1.618 here at this 26.72. Now we didn't actually cross the wave 1 high. We did touch onto it, but we didn't cross it. So I'm still open to the idea that we could be looking for this 5th wave up. Now within this idea of actually getting a 5th wave to the upside here, what we could be looking for is that more locally, if we come in, that this move could either be looking to form as something like an expanding diagonal where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're looking at this as ABC, in which case we could be looking for one more push to the upside here, looking to get an interaction with these highs. If this is the case, what we would potentially be looking for here is a move up here towards this 1-to-1 to this 1.618 here of this 27.10. If we, however, move past this 1.618, we'd have to be very careful here that this move isn't extending, where effectively what we could have here is that this could become a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we get 3, 4, 5, and then we'd have a series of additional 4ths and 5ths looking to extend up. Now, as a 5th wave, our most common target that we are looking for here within this idea, if I now adjust this target, would actually be here towards this 27.67 to this 27.08. So as long as we continue to hold this 4th wave low here of this 25.26, the possibility is still here that we could be looking for this 5th wave to the upside. Now, once again, obviously we need to be very careful that we don't have further extension within this, where we could argue that this is 1, 2, another 1, 2, and then we're looking to break out in a bigger way. So this would actually be looking at that potential here, where if this is wave 1 and 2, and we're going to get this as another 1 and 2, and we're going to see another push down here, but not crossing this low over here of this 24.04, which would be our invalidation of this idea. What we could see is that this move could then become 1. We could get this as A, B, and C, and still see a pushback down here towards the 618 to the 786 level. So if we do see this actually come into play, I'm going to be watching these levels as potential support zones. If we do see another leg down here, if we do see this actually play out, what we'd want to then see if we came down to the 0.618 at this 25.12 would actually be a move up towards this 30 cent 41 to confirm the next leg of this structure. So this is why, you know, this is going to be our very important support zone here. We have come into this. If we do form this as another 1-2, what we could see is that price could actually start to rally directly up here without seeing another leg down into this zone. But we need to see a break back above this 26.96 and actually see this 30.41 get interacted with if we're looking at this bigger impulse, in which case what this would then mean is effectively that the blue wave count is all within this yellow third wave over here. And then what we'd then be looking for is that we'd get a fourth wave down and another fifth wave to the upside. Now, if we do see a bigger 5-wave move like this developing, this no longer fits into that idea of the flat correction from over here, and would potentially then mean we are looking at either the possibility that we are going to be looking for this to be our A wave, we get a B and a C, and we're looking for that that idea of the diagonal pattern to the upside, where we're looking for something like this. Or alternatively, this could be starting to form a bigger trending move off of these lows here, and that potentially something over here is actually truncated, and we'd have to then monitor this structure, because if we do get a bigger 5-wave move like this outlined in the yellow count here, what we'd be then expecting to see is that if this is corrective, if this is A, B, and C, and we're going down, we'd actually expect to break this low. Until we did, we'd have to be on the lookout for that possibility of a 3-wave move down, in which case this could actually indicate that we could have further extension here, where either this becomes an A wave as a flat, we get 3 waves down and we see further extension up, or alternatively, this is becoming a bigger structure here as ABC, or 1, 2, 3. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. If we get 3 waves down, this could indicate we have extension to the upside playing out. If we start to develop bigger 5-wave structure to the downside, this could actually start to indicate, you know, that we're going to see that bigger break to the downside looking to play out. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It is free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.